Hi, my peoples out there watching. I have something to say today. It's been interesting, but I've really been seeing some things that I haven't really been aware of before. God's been instilling me a lot more fear of the Lord in a good way. Oh, you can see my son behind me grating some cheese for dinners. I have always had a really strong justice call on my life, a really strong right and wrong sense of morality that I know now God has put inside of me. And I haven't always been liked for that, and people don't always appreciate that. But I've started to recognize that it is a gift, and it is what God has called me to stand for. And yes, I had to learn the balance of coming across too strong, being too intense, too self-righteous, too prideful. Just all the things that can come with that, assuming that it was by my righteous acts that I was somehow achieving righteousness. So lame. But anyways, coming out on the other side of that, I have really begun to recognize that God has put this in me, and that part of what I'm called to do is hold the line. And at first I thought maybe that's like in other, like governmentally, or in our city, or traveling to other nations. I don't know. I kind of felt maybe it was bigger, but now I'm just recognizing I can start right where I'm at, and it can look like starting in my own home with my kids and just teaching them that there is right and wrong. There is absolute truth, and there is a line. There isn't greasy grace. And the funny thing about that, how that ever even got all mishmashed, is the misunderstanding of that. Because, yeah, I think it has multiple meanings, but the new covenant in the New Testament was actually a higher standard. You know, it wasn't Jesus came and fulfilled it all, so now we can be free and he understands. No, it's actually, and now we have to not only hold ourselves accountable to the Lord, he holds us accountable, our actions, but now our thoughts, even our thoughts matter. That is a pretty incredible shift. But if he came to fulfill the law so that we could actually live in accordance to a greater standard, then that means we have greater power, authority, and ability to fulfill that law. Or not the law, sorry, we're out of the law, but to fulfill that standard now of grace. And it's pretty incredible. And when you don't live under the law anymore, you don't feel the need to hold everyone else to the law. You then just begin to recognize, as I have, the reason there was a law is to reveal the power of sin and what it can do to us, to destroy us, to ruin our lives, to let the enemy in and bring confusion and break covenant with God. God showed us the depth of how vast the law would have to be for us to even begin to dream of fulfilling the law. I mean, when you would break it down, because he knows the fullness of what is required to actually equal a worthy sacrifice. It's basically, he can see the future and the past and the present. And so he knows that if I break this one law, then it could affect my future generations. It could affect my whole life. I would have to do this thing, and if I did that thing, then I would have to do that thing, and then if I did that thing, my children would have to do this thing. Basically, it's impossible to fulfill the law. So he had to send a perfect, most worthy man who was God and is God, but became fully man, to show us this amazing way we could live. Raising the standard. So I just read a scripture today that I think some of you, especially the world, won't like to hear this. And some of you Christians who tend to think our job is to appease the world and to be gentle and just always happy and nice and tolerant of everything. It says, what is it? 1 Corinthians 6:2. We as Christians are called to judge the world. And isn't that ironic that right now our society's big, huge motto is don't judge. As long as it doesn't hurt me, as long as they're not hurting anyone, let people do what they want. Let them have a law unto themselves. No, it can't work that way. If we leave it up to every man to decide what is right in his own eyes, that's scary. That's scary. That's not what we want. We want there to be a standard. We want there to be truth, true righteousness. Now, I want to explain, judging the world doesn't mean talking about how bad the world is and that they're going to hell in a handbasket. No. God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son. So obviously our job is to love and judge from a place of love. And judge, by judge, I mean decide mentally or judicially, condemn, punish, avenge, decree, determine, call in question. Those are some heavy words. And it's pretty important that we actually recognize what's in the Bible. I think sometimes we've just have all these memorized scriptures. God so loved the world, he gave his only son. And don't judge, don't look at the speck in your brother's eye when you have a beam sticking out of your own eye. So we've forgotten that there's other scriptures in the Bible. Those scriptures matter. But I'm just saying we have to look at it all, or there's confusion. There is truth that is relevant, but truth is a person. Truth is a standard that God alone has set the standard for. So we as Christians have to be standing up for what he has put inside of us and hold the line. And honestly, I was proud of us as Christians and Americans standing up to Target, standing up in the face of worldwide fear tactic that wanted to silence the church and people and to just breed fear and to shut down churches. And literally at one time they wanted to say you couldn't sing in church because it would spread more. But can you even hear that message? literally silencing the church. Well, guess what? We're not going to have that. We are going to stand. And the mama bears are rising in the face of parades happening, saying, literally chanting, "We're coming for your children." No, we will not stand for that. And God is raising up those who will stand in the face of fear, stand in the face of agendas, stand for what is right in love. I'm not talking about hate. I'm not talking about riots. I am talking about standing in your place of influence, whether that's at your workplace, at your church, in your friendships, in your family. Start where you can. It matters big time. And I will stand with you.